Welcome to episode 3 of I Didn't Know That with me, Ashley Warden. I watch Katie Nickolaou, the meteorologist at WLNS, every morning, and I just had to have her as one of my guests. And you'll see why. She's just so fun and animated and such an expert and passionate about what she does. So without further ado, here we go.
We are on episode 3 of I Didn't Know That with me, Ashley Warden, and today I have a really special guest. Katie Nickolaou from WLNS, meteorologist, is here with me to talk about weather, obviously.
Yes, and bonus points for getting the last name right.
Yes.
It's a tricky one. It just turns into soup at the end. You're like, how many vowels can you have?
Let's just throw them all in there. Why not?
Literally.
So tell me about your background. How did you
Yes.
get into weather?
Oh gosh, it was a weird way to fall into it, but it happens with a lot of meteorologists where I was little and a storm hit and I loved it. Where I think I was 5, and funny enough, it started at the Cascades here in Jackson because
wow.
we were at the Cascades, saw the light show, and then a storm was coming in. And I remember seeing the heat lightning and thinking, that's pretty, not realizing what was on the way. We had to drive back to Battle Creek, and we just crossed right into the storm that ended up having a tornado with it. And so we had to pull off on the side of the road because we couldn't see. And I'm just a kid. My brother's asleep in the seat. My parents are like, what is happening? Because it's pre-cell phones, and I was oblivious. So focused on how amazing it was, told my parents I loved it. They took me to the library, and I checked out every book on weather, and it just kept going from there.
You're either one of those kids that's completely terrified by it, like what is this, or like fascinated and hooked and
Yes.
have to have more. I was one of those kids too.
Nice.
So yeah.
I feel like it's either weather, the Titanic, or dragons, and most people fall into one
Yes.
of those 3 obsessions.
Twister was one of my all-time favorite movies. Came out
Oh,
in
yeah.
1996, and that's actually what kind of made me think I would love to be a storm chaser. How fun would that be? But every time I rewatch it, I look, that's not real. That's not real. You can tell it's sunny, but they're trying to make it not look sunny. So can you help? Have you seen it? Obviously.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay. Help me debunk some of the things in there that are like, that doesn't
Absolutely.
happen.
Well, it's amazing because, well, being from 1996, that's the year I was born, so my parents should have taken that as an omen.
Yeah.
But I've been obsessed with that movie for a while, and it's interesting because they did work with meteorologists. They actually went and used some meteorologists that I know of that were background extras, and they went to Waukeeta and filmed in Waukeeta, so they tried to get to the original sources for these, but like you mentioned, there are some scenes where it's happening and you just see like sun that's supposed to be clouds and dark and the lighting's off. But the big thing that gets me are the cows. The cow is the big thing from the movie where they're like, we got cows, another cow. But cows are remarkably aerodynamic. They're more aerodynamic than a Jeep. Like, I have a T-shirt that demonstrates it because I'm a nerd.
That's great.
But cows are really sturdy with tornadoes. And there's this general assumption that that cow from the movie was dead. They actually are very good at surviving. I think it was Oklahoma or Kansas. There was a cow farm and a couple of cows ended up in the neighbor's field after a tornado. They were perfectly fine. There's another one more recently where there was a cow that was impaled by a 2x4 after a tornado. It was walking around and it survived. So
my
that's
goodness.
one thing from the movie that I always love to tell people is don't
Yeah.
worry about the cow. It was probably okay.
They're like cats. They land on their feet.
Yes! They're just very large cats.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, and I talk about this all the time when I do weather presentations, especially at middle schools. Because when you're talking about the weather, as kids get older, it's harder and harder to connect. And so I do one on pop culture and sci-fi weather. And with Twister, I always point out that last scene where it's Joe and Bill, and they're running through that barn, and they're like, who lives here? And there's like all the knives and stuff. I show pictures of that. I said, okay, my one gripe with Twister is they would be dead. And just like this, some debris would have gotten
Oh,
at that point.
Definitely.
Oh,
yeah.
Especially when they get to the shed and everything's flying and you got the big orchestra and everyone's like, oh, this is the climax of the movie. And I'm sitting in the back like, they'd be dead.
They'd be gone.
Yeah.
They'd be goners. That was a question I had in the second movie that they just came out with a few years ago. His truck that he can anchor into the ground, would that really, like, work?
Believe it or not, yes.
Wow.
There's actually storm chasers out there who have customized vehicles.
Yeah.
One of the main ones was the TIV. That was like the first one that everyone focused on, the Tornado Intercept vehicle. And ever since then, people have been trying these different modifications for tornado intercepting cars. And some of them have spikes that'll like shoot down into the roads. and it acts as an anchor.
Wow.
The effectiveness, I still haven't seen
Right.
like a case study on,
Yeah.
but it would, in theory, help out.
Wow. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. I'm fascinated by people's ingenuity when it comes to surviving things that shouldn't be, like, chased.
Yeah. Yes. So do you do a lot of storm chasing?
Yes. No, that's been a thing that I've done, well, inadvertently since I was 5, but mainly since I was in college. I went to Valparaiso University, and like Northwest Indiana, we got some storms. But every summer we would do a convective field study where a bunch of us would take a class for 10 days and just go out west. We went from Montana to New Mexico to everything in between. I've been to most states because of it. And we would chase so many storms. And then I lived out in Sioux City, worked out there for a few years, chased a bunch there. And now that I'm back in Michigan, my parents are here. And my mom is actually my storm chasing driver. And so I'll go chase with my mom. My dad makes sure the cats are safe at home.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, yes. Having 4 cats, trying to wrangle them, of course, named Doppler and Radar are mine.
I love that.
He does a great job with it. And oh gosh, we were on the Union City tornado that happened earlier this year. We'd been on the Portage Kalamazoo storm that brought that tornado hit the FedEx building. Like, Michigan has a lot more tornadoes than people give us credit for.
Oh, yeah. Is Tornado Alley kind of extending into southern Michigan a little bit? Because we are getting more than we ever used to, I think.
It feels like we're seeing an uptick, and the numbers are backing it up. We're starting to see more of that warm, drier pushing east. So it just creates a little bit better environment that's like increasing our numbers. But I always like to talk about Michigan's Tornado Alley, because people don't usually think Tornado Alley in Michigan, but we have our own, and it cuts under Lake Michigan and then hooks up. And you just get it to go up pretty much to Flint, Saginaw.
Okay.
And that includes Kalamazoo, Galesburg, Battle Creek, Jackson is on the eastern periphery of that alley. It just keeps going up, and we have been just getting storm after storm after storm.
Tell me why, though. It always seems like storms are on their way to Jackson and then they fizzle out. Or they break up and go right around Jackson. Are we are in a vortex?
Yeah.
What is happening?
There's a weather wizard here and someone needs to bribe him. It seems like that. It always happens that way. But it mainly has to do with a mix of environments. Michigan has so many unique microclimates. So you have the lake on the west side of the state, and typically with colder water, that can have interactions with the storms. Then as it moves further east, you enter warmer environments. And the more time that storms have to mature, the more they turn kind of blobular. Technical term, by the way.
Oh, blobular.
We learned it in college, so I'm calling it technical. But you get the strongest storms are when they're alone. I compare it to if you have one kid in a candy store versus a whole class in a candy store. You're going to have all the kids fighting for a few pieces of candy, whereas if one person's alone, they're going to have all the candy. Yes. So the storm just hoards energy and creates a severe weather. But then as more and more get involved, it kind of fights for the same energy. And so by the time you get to Jackson, they're really fighting for energy, and it can cause it to turn more into a mess.
I did want to ask you, I saw you made a post about Artemis 2 and that mission and how awesome it was and how you were waving at it. Tell me how that made you feel as a woman in meteorology, and how meteorology crosses over into space, too.
Oh, yes, because space weather is a thing.
Yes.
And it's becoming more of a common topic now that, NASA is becoming very favorable with younger generations. I saw so many posts of little kids taking, like, car seats and turning them upside down and sitting on them like they were going to launch. Like, that's what made me so happy with this launch is people get interested in science. Once there's an interest in there, people tend to be wind-up toys, and they just go. And so as long as you can get that initial start, more people will understand, and then that keeps people safer. And so if space is the way to get you interested in space weather, and then you come back to Earth for regular weather, whatever the pipeline, I'm happy with.
Yeah, it all translates. It's all connected.
Well, and for example, back, I believe it was 2024, when the world stopped and everyone saw the aurora. And that northern light display, it was October, I remember. Because it was just, I did not sleep that night. I told you earlier, I get up for work at midnight. So I was awake for 30-something hours. And it was worth it. And you have the solar energy interacting with Earth, and it creates this amazing display over your head. And I wish we would have that more often just so people could have that peace again.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you know that you're all looking at the same thing or all doing the same thing at the same time, and it's so unifying too.
Yes, well, and I have friends who, they specialize in aurora chasing. Like, I do storm chasing with tornadoes, they do space weather.
Oh, wow.
And you can compare your photos and the timestamps and be like, this is what it looked like in Michigan, here's what it looked like in North Dakota. And we're seeing the same thing because it's such a grand scale.
Yeah.
Man, it makes you feel happy.
Oh, I would love to be an aurora chaser. As a former photographer, I was a photographer for a long time, so I just can't handle the cold. Is it like, it's the coldest places that it's always the most visible.
And you end up getting, because, well, there's science behind that, if you want to deep dive on a tangent. So with Michigan, we have the best view of the stars in the winter because we don't have as much water vapor in the atmosphere. Colder air can't hold as much water, and so we actually lose all these little water molecules that you'd have to look through to see into space. So there's less haze, and it just looks crisp. So that's why the winter stars look so much brighter than the summer stars.
I didn't know that.
The more you know. I have so many weird facts in this brain.
That's great. That's why you're here. A lightning round with you. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. I love the name too.
Yes, pretty fitting. What is the most underrated weather phenomenon?
Ooh, underrated, I would say crepuscular rays.
What is that?
Yes, so it looks like when you have clouds in front of the sun, typically as it's about to set, and you see these sunbeams just shooting out between the clouds. They're like little rays.
Yeah.
And I think that's so underrated because it can make some of the most beautiful meteorological photography.
Yes.
And if you pose yourself right, you can get a really cool halo effect.
Yeah.
And, I'm a photography nerd too, so it's so cool. That's underrated.
That's awesome. All right. Storm that you'd love to witness safely that you haven't yet.
Oh, I need to see a hurricane. That's one of the main ones I have yet to do. I was in the remnants of one on our way back from a storm chase in college. It just kind of drifted towards Indiana.
Oh.
But it wasn't, it was just rain at that point. But I would love to see a low-end, Category 1 hurricane from the safety of a very high-up hotel and just watch the cloud movement.
Yeah.
Tornadoes spin, but hurricane, their motion overall, I want to see that.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, too, is watching a storm come in from a distance, and you can see that big wall of clouds. It's pretty intimidating.
And the energy you get from that, you're like, oh, here it comes.
Here it comes. Yeah. What is one myth about tornadoes that you want to debunk?
Underpasses. Immediately the underpasses. And they touched on it in Twisters,
Yes.
was you do not want to stop under an overpass if you're in a car.
Yeah.
Going in underneath bridges, overpasses, anything like that, you're actually creating a zone where the wind will speed up. Like putting your thumb over the garden hose, how the water spurts out faster on the sides. The bridge is the garden hose. And so you could actually increase the wind speeds and risk being sucked out more than if you just jumped in a ditch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was not the right thing to do in that movie.
Definitely
not a smart move.
Well, because when they showed it during the Super Bowl, the little trailer, I almost broke our TV because I was like, "You're kidding me! It's the biggest audience, and people are gonna think that's the right thing to do." And
You're yelling at that more than the Super Bowl.
I couldn't care less about the game after that. My poor family just heard me griping for the rest of the night.
What are you doing? What is the best weather movie, whether it's accurate or not?
Oh, I gotta do Twister.
Yeah.
I love Twister. It's my go-to. I don't know. Do you have the question of what's the worst weather movie you've seen?
I don't, but what
do you want to add it? Day After Tomorrow. It's a good movie, but scientifically, my God.
Yeah. Good message, bad science.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you weren't a meteorologist, what would you be?
Oh, I'd be a voice actor. I have found, that answer has changed so much in the past few years.
Oh, wow.
But I love the world of voice acting because I'm already an animated person. And you might have already noticed while I'm talking. I go upper register, lower register. I might slip into a Scottish accent at some point because the brain just is weird. But I think that'd be something I want to do. I might still do it, just on the side.
Well, we're at a radio station. I mean, there's always use for that here. So I might be giving you a call.
Yes.
What should people understand or be prepared for when storms are coming, because sometimes warnings don't happen in a timely manner.
Right. Sometimes you just have a few minutes warning. Sometimes you get like 30 or 40 minutes ahead of time, and your reaction will vary based on that. Humans, by nature, we have a panic mode. I don't with storms, but for many other things. But the way to avoid like this crunch almost of like, this is happening now. Plan ahead. If you know that there's a watch issued or like even a chance for thunderstorms, in general, we have tornado season from April through June. That area of time, know to be aware, and then start preparing the things you want to keep safe. I have a bin that's watertight, and I will put family photos, awards that I've collected, some of my favorite books, like autographs from conventions, and I put them in this tub. And if I know there's going to be storms that might even have a 2% chance of a tornado happening, I'll take it and put it in the basement.
Yeah.
So that's one less thing to run around and grab before getting yourself down to safety.
Yes.
And then the other one is just think of your pets first.
Yes.
Because the pets oftentimes like, okay, cool, the dogs will follow me down. The cats will be fine. Well, sometimes people have geckos or ferrets or axolotls or some other animal that has special like requirements.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking with Bruce Pets up in Lansing about how like some lizards have to have over 100-degree heat lamps at most of the time. So if the power goes out, what are you going to do? It's not even if like a tornado hits, like what if the most minor inconvenience happens for most people? That could be life and death for pets.
Have some kind of battery backup or generator or something.
And that's something you can plan in December before anything bad happens. So I tell people like year round to just consider what more can I do to just make it easier on myself when this happens.
Tell me about the awards you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go there.
Well, I've had, I have an Emmy Award. Which, it's a regional Emmy from when I was out in Sioux City, Iowa. And I got it in a category that was for 1 year. It was micro short form media content, which includes TikTok. And so I made one about tacos and tornadoes and how they're similar. And which you don't think that, right?
No.
So with tacos and tornadoes, you can compare them in terms of watches and warnings. They both start with W's. They're both kind of confusing if you mix up the words. So a taco watch is like a tornado watch where all the ingredients are there to make a taco, but the chef hasn't entered the kitchen. You just are kind of watching to see if the chef will enter the room. Same thing with the tornado. You have the warm air, the cold air. It's all there, but you just don't have quite the forcing to mix it. It could happen, but you gotta wait. And then the taco warning is that taco's there, it's ready to be eaten. Tornado warning, the tornado's there, get to the basement now.
Okay.
And it's helping people. I've had a couple people still tell me that they think of that video every spring.
Yeah.
That I'd be happy if even one person remembered that, let alone getting an Emmy Award for it.
Yeah. So I'm talking to an Emmy Award-winning meteorologist here.
It literally sits on our shelf at home, and I just keep it as a self-defense item because it's got the pointiest wings.
Yeah. Do you have any role models growing up that inspired you?
Yes, and I just got to meet him for the first time in Lake Tahoe, which is the craziest way to meet your hero. But it was Jim Cantori at the Weather Channel.
Oh.
I grew up watching Storm Stories. If anyone isn't familiar with it, it was a half-hour show where they would talk about a storm event mostly from the early 2000s and 90s. And that was my intro to like broadcasting in meteorology. And Jim Cantori hosted it. And then he would go on the Weather Channel and he'd be the one in the hurricanes and in the tornadoes telling people information with a high energy and like making sure people paid attention. And I think that's part of why I am this way. It was Jim Cantori, Bill Nye, Miss Frizzle, and Steve Irwin.
Oh.
Like stack those up.
Yes.
He was at a meteorology conference this winter in Lake Tahoe where we were learning about mountain meteorology. And it was so incredible to get to meet him. I got to ride the bus with him and we played like weather trivia. And now we message each other about like winter weather events. I'm just like, why is my life?
Fun.
It's incredible.
You made it happen. You did all of it.
I'm so happy that it happened.
Well, you should be, because it sounds like you have an amazing career, an amazing life, and
it's awesome.
You're just fun and whimsical, and I love it.
I think that leads into like the how things go in life is just meet it with whimsy.
Yes.
Try to be as enjoyable of the experience as possible.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
whether-
I'm kind of working on dopamine decor. You can't see it on this video, but I have my little dopamine corner over there where I have like little positive, motivational little things and color.
And
color's so important,
you have
too.
to be colorful and have fun.
Yes. Well, the weather provides it naturally, too. If you look for sunrise or sunset, there's your free color for the day.
Oh, I am so one of those. Look at the sunset. I like run outside, take a picture. That double rainbow the other day was insane.
So many viewer photos from Jackson came in, and I'm sitting here. It's like 2 a.m. I'm click, 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 just smiling like a mad woman.
What excites you the most about the future of meteorology?
Ooh. There's so many options, but I really like seeing how kids have access to meteorology at a younger age now. Because with me, growing up, you watch Storm Stories, you watch the Weather Channel. Dandy. We also had Channel 15 that was like the automated NOAA station.
Yeah.
And I will never forget it for as long as I live because it always said, the NOAA weather radio station in Plainwell transmitting on a frequency of 162.475 megahertz. Like,
you've heard that a few times.
Oh, my poor parents. They only heard that. But now kids have access to all these apps, all these learning websites, online modules. I do school talks frequently, and kids are talking about looking at the radar themselves. And having that recognition of this is storm motion, even just knowing what you're looking at, green and yellow and red, what does that mean? That takes them so much further at a younger age, and it will keep them safer too.
Yeah.
And basic radar analysis skills I wish I could build into curriculums in high schools. Because once people know that, you have a higher chance of understanding how fast storms are moving, what kind of intensity you're facing, and it makes my job easier.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they don't teach a lot of weather science. Well, I'm a little bit older than you, but even when I was young, it was like, these are cumulus clouds, and this is how a storm forms, and that's about it. That's all I remember anyway. There might have been more than that, but that's all that stuck with me, really.
Yeah.
And so, despite that, I did develop an interest in weather, but I still don't fully understand it. So
right, and there needs to be more opportunities for like adult learning in meteorology because people are so fascinated. I'll do school talks for kids, kindergarten to high school. I've done some college talks, and then I jumped to nursing homes. And I love talking with people who are in like assisted living facilities because they've lived this.
Yeah.
You got people from the Flint Beecher tornado. You have them from the Bellevue F4s. You got people who have lived through different hurricanes who end up here from different portions of the world. And the stories you can learn from them, you can tell to the kids, and it just continues the cycle of learning.
Oh, yes, definitely. Passing on that legacy, too.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that storms are getting more violent? Is climate change affecting things?
Well, it's interesting because you end up with frequency, intensity, and then like proximity, where people are expanding. This is a problem that we're facing now. When you had, say, 1925 people versus 2025, 2026, we have so much more population spread. That's a larger target. And so we now have more places that are getting hit by storms that otherwise would have missed. Okay. And so we're seeing that statistical increase. Then we're also seeing, more tornadoes per year. Michigan, I think we're already at or above average. And it's April.
Yeah.
We typically see peak in May and June.
Wow.
So you're like, what's going to happen down here? We're going to get more. Last year was well above average with tornadoes. And then you see effects in winter, how you get these larger, more impactful events and the big warm-ups that cause floods, like up north.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just like flipping a switch, but instead of being a light switch, it's like a doomsday, turn the lever, crunk, like that kind of thing. And it just, the intensification and the social media side of it too, it puts it under a much larger scope. So you might see 20 pictures of one tornado versus, say, 20 years ago, you got one video. Mm-hmm. And so trying to get the knowledge through the flood of everything is becoming harder and harder to do.
Yes. It is amazing that, with this access to unlimited knowledge, basically, that almost confuses things for people more because there's so much to digest and learn from. And read somewhere that the big giant storm on Jupiter is shrinking. Like, what do you know about that?
Yes, no, I had heard that because being a Star Trek nerd, I'm always just like, what's happening in space? But yeah, well, storms, even here on Earth, they fluctuate. You have different pressure centers, and even like sunlight, sun angles plays a role in creating these wind fields and storms. It's all interconnected. If you ever want to know why something is happening, it's the sun. That's a simple answer.
Blame the sun.
It's always the sun. But yeah, I need to look more into that because there's the red spot on Jupiter. There's one planet too. I researched this for a convention. It rains glass. Yeah.
Oh my
'Cause it has
gosh.
silica particles in this atmosphere, and it gets so hot when it's in direct sunlight that it melts and forms like glass drops, and then it can harden and form shards of glass. It just rains glass.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. I'm glad we don't live there.
Yeah, me too.
It ended up being in an episode of Star Trek. So I have the chance to meet one of the voice actors from that show, and I want to go and tell them, be like, did you know that this was real, or did this happily stumble into being true?
Right. Oh, how cool. I do wonder, like, sometimes how much of that is based in actual research and just imagination. And probably both. Probably a combination.
It's
Yeah.
amazing the Venn diagram and the overlap that happens between
Yeah.
imagination and reality.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Especially in the world of weather. Like, you dream it, it probably happens somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for Sharknadoes. Those don't happen.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, well, and it's not for the reason you'd think. It's just because sharks are smart and they can sense pressure changes. And so if a shark, like a tornado comes by, it'll swim to deeper water. Fish are stupid, though, and they get sucked up into them all the time.
So fishnadoes are a thing. just
Fishnadoes,
not sharknadoes.
wormnadoes, black antnadoes, squidnadoes, all been documented, turtlenadoes. Yeah. I went down a deep dive pit during
that.
COVID. Yeah.
Never get caught in a wormnado. That sounds not fun.
That one and the black ant NATO, that one seems like that would hurt.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Ants flying at you at 112 miles an hour.
My mom was asking me the other day, water spouts.
Yeah.
She said, do they always happen over the water, or do they come up on shore? Are they dangerous for people? Are they big, or is it just like a, ooh?
Well, because there's two different kinds of water spouts. You have ones that start as tornadoes and then move over like a local lake and then move back on land.
Okay.
And those ones tend to survive for a long time. They just happen to run into water.
Yeah.
So technically, as soon as it touches water, it's a water spout.
Okay.
But then that one, that'll survive because it originally didn't rely on the water. The ones that happen over Lake Michigan, they happen because you have warm lake water, say in November or October, and then that warm air rises as a cold front moves through from Canada, and you have really cold air. Warm air and cold air, when they meet, they like to dance around each other. And so you get these little spin-ups that otherwise wouldn't happen. So they have to
Okay.
stay like over the lake if they do move on land, which they do. Florida has some great examples of people on the beach as they move in, but they dissipate pretty quickly because they've lost that warm air source.
Okay. So they're not typically dangerous.
No, and they're
Okay.
usually weaker too.
Yeah.
If they're the ones that originate over the water, they just don't have that atmospheric dynamic that the larger actual tornadoes have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to know. I'm learning a lot of stuff that I didn't know today.
There's so much to know too. We could talk for hours.
Yes, we may have to do a part 2.
Yes. I have one other nugget of meteorological wisdom if you'd like.
Yes.
Jurassic Park. They actually had a hurricane happen when they were filming.
That was for real?
It was inspired because they have the storm that came through, and they filmed that with like studio set and rain, and they forced that. But there was one part in the movie where you see like this huge wave crash on the shore, and it's towards the beginning of the movie. That was actual footage the crew took from this hurricane. I believe it was a Category 4 that hit Hawaii while they were finishing up the film. Everyone had to shelter in the hotel. Steven Spielberg, like the stars of the movie were like, "Are we gonna die?"
Oh my gosh.
And it was so rare. Hurricanes don't usually hit Hawaii. And for them to be there while they were filming, and the part of the movie was they had storms, that it actually just, they put the hurricane footage that they took into the film because
It was meant
why
to
not?
be.
It was B-roll.
Yeah.
But and the rain too that they had to use to simulate it with the T-Rex scene.
Yeah.
Apparently that puppet wasn't meant to get wet, and so it started to move on its own because it was so
Scary.
terrifying. They'd go cut. No one would be puppeting it and then just be like, and you're like, what? The behind-the-scenes stories on that are insane. So if you get the chance,
Another one of my favorite all-time movies.
yes,
So
as it should be, another classic.
yes. Yeah. The subsequent ones, okay, but the
Yeah.
original, always the best.
Can't be topped.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Katie, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
I learned so much, and I hope everybody watching and or listening learned a lot too, in a fun way, because that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
I can't learn unless I have a visual or can talk it out. So this is what we're here for. So I appreciate you joining me today.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Of course, I had so much fun too.